Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Train, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to your energy impressions for October 2025. And I will share a bit about the focused energy update for the week of September 29th. And this month ahead feels new in the way of what happened and transpired during September. I hope that you survived the intense energy. I know there were so many endings and so many lessons that many of us had to kind of relearn and take full stock of what we may have been ignoring, and a bit of a homecoming, a bit of a return. And if that is what you experienced, you are not alone in all of that returning, all of that transformation, all of those endings. It was exhausting. So if you are still kind of feeling the exhaustion, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are not pushing yourself to do when you really need to rest. Because this month ahead is vital. It feels vital. And if we don't take care of ourselves, then some of this really magical energy can not be lost, but be missed. And it doesn't mean that it will ever be lost, but it may just take a bit longer to kind of reap the rewards of what this month could offer us. So, a long way of saying, do not get down on yourself if you are more tired than usual, if you can't do all of the things that you really want to do in the day, and trust your rhythm. Connect to what your natural rhythm is. It reminds me, one of the first workshops I ever did was called Slow Majesty. And that was actually in October of 2021. And the whole idea behind that was to connect to your own energetic rhythm, to really understand when you are being kind of moved to move in the way others are, when you get swept away by the kind of tempo and the energy of everything around you. And then what that does is it makes us ignore what we really need, how fast or slow we need to be going. So maybe just before we get into the energy impressions, that is a bit of a reminder for all of us to really follow that instinct, that intuition, when it feels like it's time to go slower. Even if your mind is saying, no, listen to that language, listen to what you need. And if you're listening to this on Monday, September 29th, you can still join this workshop that I am so excited to be hosting. It is for Aliza Kelly, the fantastic astrologer and author and all around magical person. She has a community called the Constellation Club, and it is so fantastic. 2 moon circles every month, and then events in between. And tonight, on Monday, September 29th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting a workshop called Meet Your Future Self, all about connecting to the energy of our future self, connecting to the clarity and the insight that we need to know now in the present, and a few different exercises to begin to wake up our senses, to remember how to receive that insight through the guided journey of meeting your future self. And I believe you will definitely have access to the replay too. So I'll put the link in the show notes if you're interested. So you get my workshop and then everything else for the month that Eliza Kelly offers in the Constellation Club. And then on Tuesday, I am hosting the live meditation on Insight Timer for your heart, which is a group energy healing meditation all around our heart center, our heart energy, and supporting and strengthening and really tending to the energy that we hold in our hearts. So if you haven't joined me on Insight Timer before, I try my best to host 1 to 2 to sometimes 3 live group events a week. And it's free and you don't show up on video. You just join. And yes, if you haven't and you're around, I would love to see you. And all the links will be in the show notes for that as well. Okay, so yes, let's dive in. Let's dive into the energy impressions that I received for October 2025, and then a bit of an energy update at the end that is focused on this week of September 29th. And welcome to anyone who is new to listening, and welcome back to everyone who has been with me before. And if you are new to listening, the way that I receive these insights for the month ahead, I go into a really nice, deep meditation with the intention to receive, to connect to the universal energy, to the field of wisdom that we live in. And the intention is to receive insight for us. So, not for everyone, but it's for the listeners of Intuitive Seek and myself. So, for us, that is what the intention is for. And I set that intention to receive insight, guidance, messages, symbols, anything that I can translate for us that will offer a way to connect to what we need to remember for the month, for our highest good and the highest good of all. So I share what I experienced during the meditation, and then I share the animal that comes through, and the animal can inspire us for the month as well. And then I share some intuitive questions, some journal prompts, soul questions. These are for you to help integrate what I shared and offer you a way to get even more acquainted with what you need to remember for the month ahead. And one more thing about them is they are a way for you to develop your intuition, because it's up to you to recognize when what I share resonates with you, when it feels like I am speaking to you, when it feels like it is for you. Trust that. But it's also important to recognize when it's not for you. Try your best not to fit what I'm sharing into your life. Allow what resonates with you to resonate, and then leave everything that doesn't. So building that intuitive trust within you. So with everything I share, allow it to inspire you, allow it to connect you to something you may have forgotten, allow it to bring you into your own wisdom. That is the aim. So it's not about telling you what to do. It's about sharing with you what I'm receiving so that you can remember what you need to know. All right. So for October 2025, let's get into the energy impressions and what I received in the October meditation. So when I first opened up the meditation, the image was very strong of a person, so representing us. We are walking through a field, but and the field isn't bare, but it's not fully full of life yet. There are pieces and patches and places that are growing, but then there's also other places within the field that are not. And then the sky is starry. So nighttime, but similar to the field, there's also bits of sun kind of peeking through. So a bit of both from the sky and from the earth. Two things happening, almost as if two spaces, two places for our energy are present. In that this month, this may be the experience that we have maybe a choice, that there are options, and to pay attention to that. And the starry night feels like this month may be a time to really go within for some of us, to not retreat, but to retrieve. That was the feeling. And that there is space for many of us to see and be seen in new light with those peaks of sunlight coming through. So by going within, retrieving what we needed to remember or know, that may help us to move into this new light, this new day that's being offered. And then the interesting part of this part of the meditation is as we're walking, our left hand is down. Our arm is down, our left hand is down. But this was more of a visceral feeling in the meditation that our left hand may have been wanting to reach out, but something was holding it back. Some unseen force was kind of keeping our left arm and hand from reaching open and reaching up. But our right hand was completely stretched out, arm and hand almost guiding us as we're walking forward. And because of the way the left hand feels like it wants to move, but there's something holding it back, this feels like guidance for the month for some of us, that what we are wanting to receive, what we're wanting to call in or manifest or create, however you like to say it, whatever the practice is that you connect to, that we could be controlling the outcome somehow. And that is holding us back from this kind of expansion. That some of us may be getting too caught up this month within the details of how we want to receive, instead of taking, a really big breath and realizing that our hand and allowing it to open is all we have to do. That it's a quick shift instead of trying to hold on to the way that we're going to receive what we need and what we want. That it's actually just allowing that energy to breathe. And then naturally, our left hand will open up to receive. Allowing that energy of ours to open without having any kind of confirmation of how it's going to happen. That's how we can open to the magic that is waiting to appear for us. There is so much magic this month. And that magic in the meditation, that magic in the air of the way that our hands are trying to reach out, it feels like by allowing, by taking that deep breath and releasing control of how, that so much of this month could unfold in ways that maybe we couldn't have even thought was possible. And with our right hand stretched out, because this is where some of us believe that we need to focus, that we need to focus on that right hand energy, and our right energy, the right side of our bodies, which is connected to our, divine masculine energy, not in gender, but in energetics. And that by reaching out so far with our right hand at the beginning of this month, that our focus needs to shift. So pay attention if you are focusing your energy maybe too much on what you can do, what you can try, what kind of strategy, what kind of way, what kind of action, what can you do. And that's different than inspired action. This feels like we are leaning on any action because we're waiting to be shown that we can trust ourselves. But the only way that we can have any evidence of trusting ourselves is unfortunately by trusting ourselves. To trust ourselves without full evidence that that's what we should do. That we can trust the magic weaving through and around us. And it may feel uncomfortable because it may feel unfamiliar. And that's why we may be resisting what wants to come through or what wants to be received or created this month, because we may be stuck in wanting to do it all, act everything, strategize more, figure it out. So if you get stuck in that energy, especially at the beginning of the month, use it. Use it as an opportunity. Pay attention. I mean, the first thing is being aware of that energy. You're already shifting it if you're aware of it. And then coming back to your breath, back to your heart, back to your center, and asking yourself why you're feeling the need to overcomplicate or push, why you have to fill every moment of doing with so much action, why that happens when maybe you're getting quite impatient with the timing. Like we can really be our own enemy this month. We can really get in our own way. And so the feeling is realizing how much is available, realizing how much you don't know, and being okay with that. Maybe even being excited about that. October really feels like this month where things can happen very quickly for us. And the thing that is or could be in the way, it could be our doubt and our second guessing and our small kind of narrow vision, not allowing us to even entertain something more than we can imagine. And that could be what is in the way of us opening up enough to receive. That could be the unseen force that's holding our left hand and arm down from reaching up and opening, because the left side of our energy is connected to our divine feminine energy. And that is not gender, that is energetic. And that is the energy of receiving, the intuitive energy of knowing without evidence. That deep divine trust of opening up to receive and knowing that you are meeting the universe halfway. And what it felt like in the meditation with that kind of depth of resistance of our left side, that what is in the way for many of us to receive what we desire and maybe more this month is distrust. Distrust in others or relying on evidence in the past when things didn't work out, which creates distrust in ourselves, regardless of what we do. And the words that came through in the meditation were distrust is different than doubt. And it felt like an important thing to share for this month, that the energy of doubt, the energy of Not really believing it. Doubting is connected to giving our power away. To move doubt, we have to reclaim our energy. So if you find yourself doubting, connect to where you may have been outsourcing your power, looking to others to make decisions for you, looking to the past to show you what you can't do. And distrust is our energy that I see moving in our system as a misguided form of protection that can be sometimes disguised as doubt. The distrust is the energy that we don't feel safe. So we protect ourselves through not trusting. And energetically speaking, in October, there may be a lot of healing opportunity that is needed for those of us that are feeling that this distrust is kind of living and moving, but not moving enough through our energy. That we need to feel within ourselves and connect to where we do not trust not only ourselves, but the universe and the magic and the world around us. Everything that we are already connected to. Distrust is also an act of disconnection. And that can be to protect ourselves too. Even the definition. Distrust is the feeling that someone or something cannot be relied upon. And the energy within us that builds on the distrust, that is a magnet for distrust to be held within our energy, is not feeling confident, feeling fearful and suspicious, having a complete lack of faith in any of the possibility. And even focusing on that word, lack, that is distrust. And this covers all aspects of our lives. And so that came through really strongly. So for some of us, that's what we need to focus on, where we are not trusting, but more importantly, where we're holding on to distrust as a form of protecting ourselves, because it's also shielding us from what we really are meant to be moving forward and moving through and receiving and creating. October really feels like this month to witness this part of ourselves, to allow ourselves to feel it and allow it to move. To remember that our emotions are our energy in motion. But when we don't allow, we don't feel, we don't receive, the energy can create a weighted block or hurdle in our system. This is a big part of my practice and what I help people with, is learning how to connect to that and how to release it or reclaim it. Trust is needed this month. Deep trust in yourself and your path and your process, your personal way, your personal rhythm. Trusting that. Allowing distrust to move and make space, to make space for the bright, vital energy of our natural, innate ability to trust ourselves, to move and be supported and to receive. And in the meditation, as we were moving through that field under the starry night with the sun peeking through, right arm stretched out, left trying to stretch out, I did see, and this was interesting, using our imagination, imagining that left arm, left hand reaching out and opening, and then that brought the physical arm up. And I thought this was such a cool way of showing this in the meditation of how impactful our imaginations are. And I know I speak about this a lot, and I loved connecting with this in the meditation for this month because our imaginations are a translator and a vehicle for our intuition and for our energy. And I can see us this month envisioning, sitting, imagining, like really utilizing your imagination to picture and envision and feel what you desire, not only for yourself, but this can be for the world as well. This feels like a really powerful and potent time to not only hold your vision for the month, for your future, but to know it so deeply, to have it be part of your life, that its existence in the world is inevitable. And we can do this for the world too. Instead of only paying attention to the horrors of what is happening in our world, to also balance that with imagining when it will end. And that feels like an important part of October too, to not only pay attention to what you're envisioning for yourself, but also what you envision for the world and humanity. Instead of stewing in how awful everything is, can you expand your vision and see a time when it is better? Do you even believe that? How can you believe it more? Picture it. Imagine it. This is an energy exercise that I feel does have an impact on the world. It ripples out in ways we don't even understand. These things can make a difference, not only in our own lives when we envision and hold that vision and create it so much as part of our life, even if it's not physically in our world yet, that, as I said, that the existence of it is inevitable. We can do the same for our fellow humans. So this month, it can be incredibly magical. That is the feeling. But only if you allow yourself to trust that it's possible. To pay attention to the fear and the uncertainty and the distrust that may be disguised as a little bit of doubt. Because from the meditation, from connecting to the energy of the month ahead, if we really ignore all of those things, then we may feel quite lost in the day-to-day. That we could be more disconnected and closed off. And the message for the month, if you do start to feel that way in certain times, 2 words came in: open up. Open up. And maybe this is an affirmation for this month for you. If you resonated with everything I was saying, that open up message, that it feels like a reminder, a call to balance our need to find the in-between, that balance between the right and the left, the right hand and the left hand, that masculine and feminine energy of ourselves, of our system, to act and give with our right hand, to allow and receive with our left, to hold them both up and see how much space is made, to stay open, to open up, to maybe even begin each day with, I am open to give and I am open to receive, to remind your energy to balance that energy within yourself, to pay attention to which of those statements may feel hard to say. When you say, I'm open to give and open to receive, do either of those feel a bit of hesitation or resistance? That is another sign that there's something in the way of you trusting how you give and trusting how you receive, because we are not in charge of the how. That distracts and complicates and disconnects us. And then before I get into the animal of the week, I wanted to share a bit about the week of September 29th. So this specific week, the animal is the same, and I'll share that right after. But when I connected to any additional insight for this specific week of September 29th for us, the imagery of rolling dice came through. And the feeling was that this week, we can look at our options. We can entertain new ideas, maybe even take some risks, see what fits, what doesn't. It feels like this week is really preparing us for the whole month of October, creating space this week for all of the new vision, for all of the going into retrieving what we need from within. It feels like this energy of allowing things to change, maybe even hour to hour of what you're thinking and feeling and looking at and being inspired by. Yeah, the energy for this week feels like it will help us release that resistance. It will help us begin to release that resistance to receive. And then the other thing that came through specifically for this week was a focus and a highlight on our root, on our first chakra, on that first base energy center. This is where we can really connect to the feeling of security and safety, to the depth of our trust, that rooted, grounded, unshakable energy where we can feel grounded and everything else can bloom and build on top of that. That real strength of foundation. This week, if you do nothing else, focus on how you can tend to that energy. You can listen to my Reiki healing meditation. You can do different physical movements, stretching, different yoga positions, whatever connects for you. Do a little search, see what fits. But pay attention to that energy because that will help in a huge way for the month ahead. And then let's get into the animal that came through for October. This is for the month and for the week ahead. They were the same animal, although a bit smaller for the first week. So it feels like the energy of this animal can inspire us as it builds throughout the month. And the animal was the rabbit. The rabbit, which we have not had in quite a few months. And I was a bit surprised because this was a lighter feeling than what I was receiving. But then when I connected to the energy of it, of course, it's the rabbit, of course. So let me share a bit more about the energy of the rabbit. And as I share about the energy of the rabbit, connect to what it brings you to. What does it remind you of? With the words that I share, the insight, where does it bring you in your life? Where does it bring you to focus on? What does it remind you of? All of the things. Pay attention to how it resonates for you. That's how this energy can inspire you. So for October and the first week, this week of September 29th, the rabbit represents the energy of overcoming fear, abundance, fertility, new beginnings, preparation, trust, intuitive gifts, creative expression, personal revelations, root chakra healing, and setting boundaries. So very affirming for everything else I shared. So that rabbit energy feels so supportive for us this month. And I wanted to share an excerpt from Animal Speak by Ted Andrews to offer even more insight. So pay attention to how this also connects for you in your personal, specific life. Although some associate fear with the rabbit, it also has wonderful abilities for defense. Rabbits often create forms to use for hiding and resting. If a rabbit has shown up, it may indicate a need to do some more planning or check those you have already set in motion. You do not want to box yourself into a corner. Rabbits have a knack for avoiding being seen. They can freeze, hold perfectly still. They know that movement can be detected from great distances by many predators. If you are involved in competition, in work or in play, It will be important not to foreshadow your moves. Rabbits are clever at doubling back, making quick and rapid turns. If they need to flee, they can be extremely fast. Learning to shift from freezing to great speed is something to learn. It will aid your success and enable you to take advantage of opportunities that may only be present for brief moments. Rabbits can show you how to recognize the signs around you. It can help you to attune to the lunar cycle and recognize the tides of movement within your life. This in turn will enable you to become even more fertile in yours. And how does that energy that I just shared, the symbolism and the energy of the rabbit, how does it inspire you? What can you really remember and support for yourself this month? Okay, and I did ask many questions throughout the episode already, so feel free if any of those really connected with you, answer those. But I will offer 4 journal prompts, intuitive questions, soul questions that you can answer all or none, or just a few, and they can help you connect even deeper into what you may need to know or remember for this month ahead. And the first question could be, what do you need to go within yourself to retrieve? What is waiting within you to be released this month? Number 2, detail any examples of your distrust. Who, what, or where in your life cannot be relied upon. Be very honest, trust what comes, and is it true? When you connect to it, is it true? And then how can you replace it with trust? And number 3, what is one specific way you can open up this month? However that connects to you, whatever that means to you, trust what it means. What is one specific way you can open up this month? And then when you find it, describe in detail. And then what does this tell you? How can that guide you? And then number 4, how could this month surprise you the most? What could be the biggest surprise? Really trust what comes, the first thing that comes. What could be the biggest surprise this month? And then when you find it, describe how it feels. What does it feel like to receive that surprise? And then how can that guide you for the month ahead? All right, well, that is everything I have for you for this month and for this week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuitive Seek. I would love to hear if you resonated with any of the energy that I'm feeling that we're moving through for October 2025. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to send me a message. You can message me through my website, treenlight.com, or through my Instagram at treenlight. If you're curious about working with me, I offer so many ways to support you, and everything you need to know to explore are in the show notes. And hugely appreciated if you subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And please share this episode with a friend if you feel like it could be helpful. And you could also leave a review. That really helps other people find this podcast. So thank you again. Be extra kind to yourself, and I will talk to you next week.